Definitely have to say that I did expect more before I started recording the video. Not thoroughly impressed with this one. I just get this impression that the competitors of this tool that we're going to be reviewing today have made a far, far greater progress than they have done in the past 3 to 6 months. And the tool that we're going to be looking into reviewing today is called as V0 or VO or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to be doing a deep dive in it in today's 1550 challenge. Vercel is a vibe coding tool with a team based out of the US that's built as a part of a larger hosting service called Vercel, whose clientele is pretty impressive. Airbnb, Uber, Ticketmaster, McDonald's, etc., etc.
My name is Lazar. I'm a VP at a startup company building 50 apps in 50 weeks using only AI. Currently stuck with app 16, 17, but close to getting them over the finish line. While I built the first 15, a couple of them ended up in top 5 of products on the weekly awards on Lovable launched. And aside from like Lovable and the other tools I've reviewed, I beta tested and have been beta testing over 10 AI coding tools. And along with my friends at Starter Story, I have an AI bootcamp with over 400 students attending and deploying their apps successfully, right? In this particular series, I'm just trying to find the best tool out there on the market, right? Our bootcamp is in Lovable, but Lovable is not the only game in town. So I'm trying to find tools that I would grade in 10 different categories, grades 1 to 5, anywhere from their product UI UX to how good the first shot of the prompt is, how good are they with supporting different design styles, database, how reliable is the agent in just building the code and debugging, how easy it is and safe it is to deploy on these, pricing, and specifically, and most importantly in my book, as a non-coder myself, support for newcomers. So far, let's look at the leaderboard, right? If you haven't watched any of my prior review videos, go ahead and check them out. But so far, I've reviewed 3 tools. This is the 4th one. In my books, Replit is number 1, Bolt's number 2, Lovable is currently ranking as number 3, right? Now, obviously, these are very subjective reviews. Your opinion will be different than mine, and that's totally fine. No problem whatsoever. I'm not a developer and I have no idea what I'm doing. None of the companies is paying me to do these reviews. I just do them by myself, for my own purpose of learning how to use them, and you should use them and test them so that you can learn how to use them for your own purpose and your projects as well. All right, now we got that out of the way. Let's start talking about VO is a vibe coding tool with a team based out of the US that's built as a part of a larger hosting service called Vercel, whose clientele is pretty impressive. Airbnb, Uber, Ticketmaster, McDonald's, etc., etc. They have a lot of native integration options, even support image generation within the software itself. And they're a one-stop shop for building and deploying projects with a really useful attack and firewall mode protections for security. I'm going to showcase those later down the road. Now, before I move on to actually score VO, a lot of you are like thinking, well, it's great that you're going to be vibe coding here, but I want to learn how to vibe code too, maybe, right? Maybe you're not asking that question, but I'm still going to give you the answer anyways, right? The best place to learn how to vibe code is my AI bootcamp. Shameless plug, right? It's built in Lovable and we call it the Lovable AI bootcamp, but the techniques that you will be using there can be applied across all of the other tools in the industry. We're going to help you turn your idea into a real app, right? And we're going to do that in just 12 days. The syllabus is so super simple. We have the part where we help you decide which idea you want to build and then commit to it by really doing proper documentation and setup, building a great plan. So not just vibe coding your app into the wall, but actually following a specific roadmap, which will also include integrations with OpenAI. And if you run into bugs, and you will, no worries. We're going to talk about bug fixing for 2 days, and we're going to talk about for another 2 days about designing and polishing. And then finally, I'm going to teach you how to set up your email client, how to deploy your project to Vercel, specifically as the hosting behind VO, and then fixing the SEO and all other things so that your project looks decent to a place where you would be able to take it to the next steps and start sharing, right? So I'm going to include a link to this in the description, but let's go back to my review and talk about the scorecard, right? And let's start with the as usual, the tool UI and UX, and head over to VO. Like, this is how VO.dev is going to look like for you, right? I like, again, the simplicity behind it. Question is clear. You can, select prior projects that you want to continue or build a new one. You can attach images and files, and that is a great option. So I almost gave it like a 4 here at least. It gives you clean, a pretty clean options to continue. But then from there, I kind of felt it was underwhelming. Not a whole lot of help, not a whole lot of tutorial, nothing. Like really just a dashboard you would start working on. And so far, for all of the projects, if you haven't watched any of the other videos, we've been trying to build the same exact app using a different project. I used my Lovable base prompt GPT generator to build a base prompt, which would include the basics of my app. So I'm just going to copy that and bring it into Vercel, right? And I'm just going to clean it up. One thing that I disliked, Vercel is, this to me, this is a bug rather than a feature, right? It says maximum length of prompt is 1,000 characters. I think that's BS, quite honestly, and that it doesn't want to enhance it because it's too long. 1,000 characters is not. But no worries. It's fine. That's why I graded it only 3 out of 5 on this aspect. But I will attach, again, you can add a file from Figma, which you got to pay for, or you can upload a file from your computer, right? In my case, I'm just going to upload a file that I call God Mode. If you haven't watched any of my videos, God Mode is basically the knowledge base that I add into Cognitive, knowledge base that I add into all of my projects, and I can give you access to this GPT if you want to try and do that yourself. I use this type of GPT for all of my knowledge bases. Let's go back to Vercel and let's kick things off and see how it does, right? The agent then, starts thinking, which I like. It's talking about the cognitive architecture of my knowledge base, which is great. So it read it. That's what I like seeing, right? Now we can see the actual app being built and the agent cooking, as they say, because this may take a little while. I'm going to go back to the scoreboard and continue scoring it on other aspects. Again, this part of the experience is pretty similar to others. What I do like is on the interface side is that you can see integrations very clearly described. The settings gear is there, sharing, connection to GitHub works, like downloading the code, like a lot of options that are pretty much on market. Like all the other apps that I've reviewed have it. So I'm not going to give them a higher score. I'm just going to replicate pretty much the same score line. I think on the code ownership side, 4 out of 5 there, definitely present. First shot prompt result that I've received and that you will see, I scored it 4 out of 5. I hope to be able to show you the logic behind that score. I did feel that it was a bit underwhelming on the visual and the design, very basic libraries being used, so nothing special. And then the big problem that I did find about it is the debugging stuff. Actually, I have, obviously for the purpose of testing this project, tried to build it before this presentation. It couldn't fix a very basic, the most basic problem that I would say, which is like I tried to add Supabase integration, which by the way was extremely clunky, extremely complicated to do compared to Lovable. You'd had to like take multiple steps. And again, I've done more complicated stuff. So if you're watching this video, you're like, oh, that's simple. Like, trust me, it's not. When you're first starting off, it would be a problem, right? For somebody that never did that before, it could be definitely problematic. I liked the agent itself. I can show it to you. Like it's building 8, 15, 18 files nonstop. There are no timeouts. Ability is great, but the problem is the quality of the code, right? The fact that the agent is working means nothing if we have problems that we cannot solve. And as I said, in this first experience-based thing, where I was just trying to fix it with VO, like I would just click here, right? Again, I'm just replicating what a new user would do. I got a ton of videos on my channel and in my bootcamp where you can see me deploying far more sophisticated techniques for debugging. But I'm just coming off as a new user, trying this out, and I don't like what I'm seeing. Like I'm just having the 6th version being built. So I tried this 5 times and it didn't work. Like I keep getting the same error. If I'm a new user, that's where I'm going to bail, right? I'm not going to come back to use this. I like the UI though, and I like seeing agent working, but It's definitely not an ideal scenario. I will say, from a deployment perspective, nobody beats Vercel in my books, and V0 in that particular sense. Again, disclaimer, this is a subjective review. If you disagree, I'm totally fine with that, right? And the reason why I say it's the best is because when you click to deploy, you have a ton of options. You can deploy to Vercel, deploy directly from GitHub. And you can see, this is the actual front end side of things. The first shot prompt for my previous app. Not bad, not the best, not the worst. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it was pretty reliable. As you can see, it cannot connect with a Supabase, even though in the integrations, we definitely are connected with Supabase. So I don't know what's going on there. I like that it had the knowledge base stuff, right? So I could upload the file here. I could give it project instructions. All this stuff was great. The project instructions, again, had to be less than 500 characters. I really don't get that, but all right. But as far as deployment goes, again, messages that you get for free, not bad. On the pricing side, we can talk about it, but it's 8 out of 10. The problem that I did find about pricing and why I didn't give it the highest score on it personally, but only gave it 3 out of 5, is because when you do go to billing, right? If we go back to their billing settings, let's see where could those even be? Profile, pricing. All right. I mean, this is very vague. 10 to 20x more messages than free. This is definitely not ideal. I don't know exactly how many messages am I going to get. They're depreciating versions where you can buy credits. It's kind of weird. It's funky. Yeah, you got to subscribe to Premium, Team, or Enterprise. I don't know. I just felt that they could do a much, much better job here to be competitive on the market. I just didn't feel like that this was the greatest user experience. As you can see, I still have the same problem, right? And again, fixed with Rio, and I'll keep fixing it. And I get it. I know what I need to do. I'm not stupid. I can find these in my Supabase project and give it to it, but this shouldn't work like that for a newcomer. Again, people at VO or people that are trying to defend VO realize something. New users have no idea what all of this is. If they integrated a project with Supabase, a new user expectation is that this just works, right? It can read, it can talk to each other. There's no point in me actually trying to fix this stuff, right? Because I'm not the developer here. We're vibe coding, so this better work whether I know how to code or not. The piece of the puzzle which completes it all for me, and the place where I gave it a 2 out of 5, is support for newcomers. Similarly to Lovable, again, when I go back to the main page, I don't see any onboarding. I don't see anything that would help me as a person that never used anything, no tooltips, nothing to tell me, hey, click here for integrations. This is how to integrate stuff. This is the settings wheel. This is that. You won't get I just felt lost when I first opened it up, maybe 6 months ago or so. And I would get the same feeling. I don't get it now because I know how to use all of these tools, but I would definitely see how a newcomer would feel kind of neglected here in a sense. Thus, the final verdict, this is a good tool, but even though it has the same amount of points as Lovable, I will count it as a being below it. So it's number 4 in my books right now. I do feel, again, simple UI allows you to update and reference files at first prompt. That is a great feature. It has an average design on first shot, but a great GitHub two-way connection. Again, you can just export your code, import your code, bring in a repo. Very good. Again, on the deployment side, I keep telling you about it, but I'm not showing it to you. So let's go to Vercel, right? And let's go to all of my projects, right? Every project that I deployed that I'm kind of proud of is here. And for instance, this project had a DDoS attack, right? And it keeps getting sometimes I don't want to say attacked, but spammed, but they have a firewall function, which I love, right? It basically tries to mitigate denial of service attacks for you if they come from the same IP. You also have this challenge mode, which I did trigger at some point for this project. Because again, it was heavy. I was getting hundreds of thousands of requests in a minute. Then I just triggered all of these and it was great. Deploying a project is so easy. Like, I deploy all my Lovable projects on here as well. I just click add new, I select project, I find the repo, I would just import it, right? And then when I import it, I would choose the domain under which this will be published, and that's it. 3 clicks, you're done. Again, if you're a newcomer, very, very easy, and you can see that deployment again in my AI Accelerator. I will say again, very clunky and very complex connection with Supabase, which did not work in my case. And I connect projects with Supabase every day, so I can't blame it on myself as much as I'll blame it on the tool. Very vague messaging when it comes to pricing, which you saw, and I don't see any new resources. I don't see anything that would help a newcomer here. So again, a good tool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want this to sound as like I'm dismissing everything that they do. I think that they're doing a great job. Again, they're a part of a bigger company, and I feel has probably the most secure way of deploying projects. So they just got to figure out some of the pieces when it comes to being more approachable for vibe coders. I think this is more of a developer's tool, I want to say. I think developers, people that know web development, like VO a lot. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm primarily a vibe coder, so in my books, this is a number 4 tool for now. I want to thank you for being with me today in this deep dive. I'm probably going to be doing another deep dive tomorrow. If I don't do it tomorrow, maybe I will skip a couple of days because I got to work on some of my projects. But other than that, if you want to learn how to vibe code yourself and build your own projects using VO or any of the other tools on the list, I'm going to put the link into the description for the AI Build Accelerator that I run together with Starter Story. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep vibing.